Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody and tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that you are with us on this Saturday morning, because if you hear the cry of no justice, no peace, you know this is where the action is. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm attorney Michael Hardy. Will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We're going to be so pleased today to have with us for our inspirational word Dr. Carmen J. Walters, president of Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi. We're also pleased today because we're going to have a very special visit from our deputy chairman of our board of directors, Jennifer Jones-Austin. She's the CEO of the Federation of Protestant Welfare Workers, and she'll be here to talk to us about some election issues. Of course, if it's Saturday, our musical director is in the house. And if it's Saturday, our dear sister and coordinator here at National Action Network's House of Justice, Katrina Jefferson, would be here to ask you what's on your mind. But Katrina is traveling today, so Derek Perkison, our New York State coordinator, will be here to ask you what's on your mind. Of course, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house, so you want to call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We always remind everyone that on Monday, October 24th, the NAN Youth Huddle will meet here at the House of Justice at 6 p.m. You want to spread the word and get into the action with our youngest and brightest dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. For more information on the Youth Huddle experience, you can call 877-626-4651, or you can email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. Of course, today, Saturday, 5 p.m., Sunday, tomorrow, 5 p.m., you want to make sure that you're tuning in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. That's today at 5 p.m., Saturday, 5 p.m., and tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. You want to tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. But right now, brothers and sisters, Dr. Alvin Ponder, the Vice President of the New York City chapter, will be here with some additional information for you. Welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Good morning, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some important information to keep you in the know. Listen, student debt relief application launched. Earlier this week, the White House launched the Student Debt Relief Portal. The online application is designed to provide up to $10,000 in relief to borrowers with federal student loans and up to $20,000 in relief to borrowers who were Pell Grant recipients. Borrowers who earn less than $125,000 as an individual or $250,000 as a household in 2020 or year 2021 are eligible for relief. Now, according to the White House officials, the application takes less than 5 minutes and is available in English and Spanish on your desktop and even your mobile device. You can apply for student debt relief at studentaid.gov. Let's spell that out. studentaid.gov. Studentaid, one word, .gov. Loudmouth documentary makes a roar in Chicago. Reverend Al Sharpton, founder and president of the National Action Network, was in Chicago Monday for the premiere of the film at the Chicago International Film Festival, reported the Chicago Tribune. Quote, over the course of 2 hours, viewers watch Sharpton's trajectory from a teenager borrowing James Brown on Soul Train to becoming a face and voice for the civil rights movement for decades. Loudmouth, a documentary that traces Sharpton's activism across the decades, tells the story of a civil rights leader determined to fight social justice. Are you registered to vote? I hope so. And I want you to vote. With the midterm elections scheduled this fall, next month, in fact, and the 2024 presidential election just 2 years away, do not sit on the sidelines. Voting allows you to have a voice in local, state, and national elections on issues that matter, such as education, police reform, and safety and housing. You can weigh in and be heard. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to join NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit again www.nationalactionnetwork.net or just call 877-626-4651. Again, that's 877-626-4651. Or just text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ponder, for that. Right now, brothers and sisters, Derek Perkison, who coordinates New York State, New York City, and our crisis work here at National Action Network, wants to know what's on your mind.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy. Thank you. Good morning, National Action Network. Good morning. Welcome to another segment of What's on Your Mind, where you, the people, provide comments and insight, no thought of NAN, and we bring it out into the open. So please, first up, we have Sister
Reverend Word. Good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. I'm from heaven, born in Harlem. I'm 71 years old and new. I'm a National Action Network lifetime member. Of course, what's on my mind is Bible scriptures. And initially in Genesis, clearly shows that God gave us the right to choose. It's the right to choose that we still have today. Christ Jesus came to this earth, to the glory of God, to continue our right to choose. God gives us the best advice, the best choice to make, and then we decide whether we're going to make the best choice. So in this present day and time, we have the best choice to vote for people who support democracy. Let's use our best choice and vote for these politicians who want to support democracy and the continuance of civil rights activism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Word, longtime name member. If you want to be on What's Your Mind, you can email at what'sonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. That's what'sonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. I would like to read an email from Brother Shan. Brother Shan says, I believe every place where there was ever a cotton field in America, they should all be given to African Americans and Native Americans as part of reparations, and as well as land on the moon and the floating new city land that I learned there's being built on Atlantic Ocean. I also believe that if African Americans want to call themselves African Americans, they are obligated to learn their own language as African Americans. Too many say that, well, pick one. With all this technology, what's your excuse? Hey, America uses most money by using our African language all of the time, with words like jumbo, meaning large, as in jumbo-sized eggs, and pajamas, meaning suit. Dude, name unknown. Yo, hey, like yo, MTV Raps, etc. On another note, even though term black doesn't tie you to any specific region or land ownership on earth, I personally use both the terms African American and black because if you put all of the beautiful colors together, they bring you back to black. Thus, all of our different beautiful colors together are rooted in black. Thus, black is truly beautiful, and there's no shame in being beautiful. Peace, no justice, no peace, my brother Shan. Next up, in the House of Justice here, 106 West 145th Street, we have
Debbie Brown, senior advocate.
And what's on your mind?
It's several things on my mind with my people. I want to remind us that we have to take care of one another. We need more men to step up as mentors. But not only that, we need to stop asking to defund the police than to retrain the police. Because now they have body cams. Everything they do have to be explained. That's one. I also want to tag on with the voting. Vote, family, vote. It's extremely important to vote. Senate, Congress, all of that, get out there and vote because they're trying to take us back to the 50s and 40s. If you sit back and do nothing, don't complain when it comes down.
Amen. Thank you for sharing what's on your mind. I have another email for what's on your mind from a sister, Alita Aaron. What's on your mind? Who's on my mind? And today, Brittany Griner is on my mind. I implore all of us to not only keep her in our thoughts and prayers, but to continue to say her name in as many spaces and places as we can to keep the fever of her situation alive. So often as the news cycles swirl our heads, the outrage of yesterday dissipates and dissolves into oblivion. Let's keep calling her name. Let's keep her in our thoughts and let us continue to fervently advocate for her release. Thank you, Ms. Athea Aaron, for what's on your mind. In the House of Justice, what's on your mind?
A lot of things are on my mind. My name is Michelle Blomenville. I'm from New York, born in Brooklyn, live in Queens. I started a not-for-profit because contractors are coming into our neighborhood, and I'm piggybacking on what the lady just said, and finding new ways to enslave us by hiring people to experiment on our community with emerging technology. A lot of this technology has access to our brain signature. That's something to Google, and they can remotely access our DNA in our body. I started a not-for-profit, it's called Leave for Humanity, and if anybody's affected by this, my number is 347-535-7656. And thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing what's on your mind. In the House of What's on Your Mind, we have
Nadira El-Amin, a lifetime member of NAN. I'd just like to piggyback off what the young lady said about voting. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, read the voting guide. There's proposals on the ballot. Don't get in the polling booth and say, I don't know what this is all about. A lot of things is getting ready to change, and if you don't know what's going on, you're going to have things changing, and then you're going to say, what happened? Read what the proposals are about. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is another segment of What's on Your Mind. If you want to be on What's on Your Mind, please send an email to what'sonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net or call 877-626-4651. And back to you, Attorney Hardy.
All right. Thank you, Derek Perkison, for What's on Your Mind this weekend. Once again, our dear sister Katrina Jefferson is traveling, but we always want to know what's on your mind. Brothers and sisters, this Thursday coming, October 27th, is the last Thursday of the month. And if it is the last Thursday of the month, it is a legal night at National Action Network. So this Thursday, October 27th, 7 p.m., you want to tune in because you can log on. You can get all that information by calling right here at the House of Justice, 877-626-4651, to participate in this month's legal night. First of all, it is the last legal night of the year because the last Thursday in November and December, we are celebrating the holidays. So you want to make sure that you are here and let us know what's going on. Call your friends, family, those that are in need. Our team of attorneys will be ready for you. We'll also have a very special presentation on public safety from Attorney Wiley Stecklow. So once again, it's the last Thursday of the month. It's October 27th. It is legal night at National Action Network. So you want to call 877-626 to make sure you have all of the login information because it's all on Zoom and Facebook and all of those things that our Czar Ashley Sharpton knows all about, but they can help you make sure that you can log on and participate with us on a legal night. Once again, it is the last Thursday of the month, so it is legal night here at National Action Network. You can call 877-626-4651 to get all the information on what we are going to be doing for the last legal night of the year. And then we'll be coming back to start our 13th year of legal night after the new year. Right now, brothers and sisters, elections are coming up. A lot is going on the ballot, a lot you need to know, and a lot that's going to be happening across the nation. But today, there are going to be some important things that even all of you are thinking about, and some of those are the ballot proposals that are going to be on the ballot here. So Jennifer Jones-Ossis, our board member and also the CEO of Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies, will come and talk to us about these important ballot proposals that we'll be looking at on the ballot. Let's give her a great welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good to be with you all this morning. It's always good to be with you all. And just know that when I'm not with you all, I'm thinking of you and I'm praying with you and I'm doing the work from my part of New York City, Brooklyn, New York. Really good to be with you all. So, Reverend Dr. Ponder talked to you about Election Day. Told you Election Day is coming up. And, you know, on Election Day, we usually vote for state senators, state assembly persons, city council members. This year, we're voting for congressional leaders. We're voting for a governor, comptroller. But there's something that I really need you all to pay attention to. I need you to flip the ballot. When you get your ballot, whether it's early voting, absentee voting, or on Election Day, I need you to flip the ballot. Because for the first time in New York City, for the first time in the nation, racial justice proposals are on the ballot. Never anywhere in this nation has racial justice been on the ballot. Now, we know that when this nation was created, people of color were not really thought about. We weren't included in the Declaration of Independence. We weren't included in the United States Constitution, other than to say that persons who were enslaved were 3/5 human. That's how we were included. And in all the laws that flowed after that, they legalized racism. We've had structural racism embedded in our laws for centuries. Legalized slavery. I'm talking about, things like the GI Bill, Jim Crow laws, Bring it forward, you bring it most recently to sentencing, where they legalized that 1 vial of crack, 1 ounce of crack, carried the same sentence as 100 ounces of powder cocaine. Who had powder cocaine with 100 ounces? What I'm telling you is that racism has been legalized, has been put into our structures. And now here in New York City, we have a chance to begin undoing that, to dismantle structural racism in the laws. So here's what's going to happen. When you flip your ballot, you're going to see 4 ballot measures. The first is about clean water and clean air. It's a statewide ballot that would say we have to rebuild the structures, the infrastructures, the pipelines, to ensure that every community has clean water and clean air. The second proposal would add a preamble, a statement of values to the New York City Charter, the New York City Constitution. It would speak to what every New Yorker, regardless of race, religion, who you love, how you show up in this city, has a right to quality education, quality health care, to walk freely in any streets, any neighborhoods, without being over-surveilled and policed. A right to fair and livable wages. It would set forth a statement of values for how all New Yorkers should be treated. And it would be intended to guide New York City government with respect to its policies and its programs. The second proposal would establish in perpetuity forever an Office of Racial Equity under the New York City Constitution. An Office of Racial Equity that would have to publish every 2 years a racial equity plan for every city agency, every mayoral office, looking at all of the data, how they show up and collect our garbage, what communities are over-policed, what our schools look like. And they'd have to establish a plan to ensure that they're bringing these communities, our communities, up so that we have the same access to quality education, health care, hiring and promotion in New York City government that people who don't look like us have. An Office of Racial Equity with a racial equity plan. You hear me? Holding them accountable. And then they'd have to report every 2 years on how they're complying with that plan. So we would know whether or not they're living up to it, and we could take action. The third proposal, it will be the 4th one on your ballot, but it's the 3rd racial justice proposal. You're with me, right? This proposal would require New York City to measure what it truly costs to live here. Let me tell you why that's important. The way that wages are set, beginning with the federal government, the way that they determine who's eligible for child care subsidies, transportation subsidies, housing subsidies, Medicaid, they use a measure that's so outdated. It's a measure that says, listen to me, a measure that says that a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, living anywhere in America needs just $27,750 to not be poor. It says, this federal measure says that an adult with 2 children needs just $22,000 to not be poor. What we know, based on data that's been collected, is that here in the city of New York, a mother with 2 young children needs at least $85,000 to make ends meet. In the Bronx, we're not even coming into Manhattan. We're not looking at Brooklyn. A family of 4 needs at least $100,000 to make ends meet. Well, when you have a federal measure that says that that family, that mother with 2 young children only needs $22,000, if she's making $50,000, she can't close the gap because now she's not eligible for child care. She's not eligible for some housing supports. She may not get as much as she needs in food supports. If New York City has a true cost of living measurement, it now changes the conversation, and it causes New York City to look at what is a fair minimum livable wage. It causes New York City to have to answer the question, what are we doing by way of income supports to help close that gap? So here's the deal. These 3 measures are on the ballot. But New Yorkers have to decide whether they become law. New Yorkers get to choose. So you You all have a chance to decide whether or not now we get written into the New York City Constitution. So you've got to make sure that if you're eligible and registered to vote, you vote. And when you flip the ballot, you look at those measures and you determine whether or not you want racial justice and equity in the laws of New York City. And here's the deal. You know what they say. So goes New York, so goes the nation. If we take the first step of embedding racial justice and equity in the New York City Constitution, others are going to be paying attention. And let me tell you the flip. If we don't come out and vote, you know what they're going to say. Even they didn't want racial justice and equity in the laws of the land. So I can't tell you, I chair the commission that brought these proposals to the table. I believe in them. It's the first step. Some might say, well, ain't nothing going to happen. It's the first time we can maybe change the laws to actually get something to happen. So let's start there. But it's on us. I can't tell you how to vote as the commissioner, as the chair of the commission. But I can tell you as an individual New Yorker how I'm going to vote. Y'all know how I'm going to be voting. So I just want you to hear that. I'm going to be saying yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, as an individual citizen. So please make sure you tell your family, make sure you tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you're walking down the street, just get crazy like I'm getting. I'm telling everybody wherever I go. Anytime I see somebody who looks like they may be over 18, hey, racial justice is on the ballot. Flip it or you'll miss it. You hear me? Tell everybody, flip it or you'll miss it. Flip it or you'll miss it. Thank you all.
Jennifer Jones-Austin, thank you so much for that report, and voting is so important. Right now, brothers and sisters, our musical director is in the house, and Tisha Hutter is going to give us a special selection.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. How many are we going to trust God in these times? Amen. Amen. Jesus. 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word. Oh my, just to rest upon his promise, just to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, my God, how I proved him more and more. Jesus, 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 precious Jesus. Oh, for grace to trust. Is anybody gonna trust him? Him more. Listen, I'm so glad I've learned to trust him. Precious Jesus, Savior, Savior, friend. I'm so glad that he is with me and will be until the end. Oh, Jesus, Jesus.
That is Tisha Hutton, who gave us our selection, all under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Right now, brothers and sisters, education matters, and we're so pleased to have with us today Sean L. Davenport. He's the superintendent for school district number 5 for the New York City Board of Education. Let's give him a welcome.
Good morning. Come on, we can do better than that. Good morning. Uh-oh, I'm about to be in trouble. I am so pleased to be in the house. I'm always pleased to be in God's house, but I made it to this house, and I made it. So I want to thank the Chancellor, David Banks, our Mayor, Eric Adams, for thinking of me to take on this challenge. Our CEC members, but most importantly, our CEC member, Ms. Gina Williams, who is working with me and trying to reimagine the educational experiences and reimagine the Renaissance here in Harlem. I also want to thank Dr. Sharpton, because without him and the fights that he has going on across this nation, not only in New York City, but across this nation, on all levels, making this opportunity possible for someone like me to stand here today and to ask you to join with me in changing the educational landscape here in Harlem. One of the issues and challenges that we have in District 5 is we are losing students. They're leaving, moving out of the neighborhood, moving out of the state, but most importantly, we're losing them to charter schools. And we got to change that. I'm not against charter schools, but I'm for public schools. And I'm for the public schools here in the Harlem community. I was a principal in this district for 13 years. I was principal of the Thurgood Marshall Academy for Learning and Social Change and the Thurgood Marshall Academy Law School. I was the founding principal there. And I understand the challenges that our families face in looking for quality education. Yes, we can improve in a lot of areas. And one of the things that we said we were going to do, we were going to reimagine the Renaissance for our students here in the Harlem community. And one of the things that we said we needed to do was remind people that when they came to Harlem, teachers, parents, students, that they're in the Mecca. They're in the center of education, the center of arts and culture. And so what we did, I grew up listening to the Forest MDs, and one of my favorite songs was Love is a House. And so we're going to reimagine the district by, we said we're going to have Love is a House in Community School District 5. And so we're using the principles of a house and the acronyms of Mecca, and the Mecca meaning mindfulness. We know every student needs to get their mind right. We need to work on more social and emotional learning for our kids so that they can come to school, be still, be ready, be set, and then go learn. We need excellence, and that means that we need to come in and have district-wide priorities that puts kids first, and their learning first, their needs first. And most importantly, we need capacity building. We need leadership. And it's my job to make sure that we have strong principals who can lead strong teachers, which impacts student learning. The other C is collaboration. We need to work together. One of the things I'm committed to doing after hearing Jones Austin speak this a few minutes ago, we're going to have National Action Network chapters in our high schools. I'm committed to making sure that our students understand what's going on in our community. We're going to make sure they know how to flip the script so they can understand who they're voting for and they can tell their parents. And lastly, it's about action. I'm not just going to say I'm going to be about it. I'm committed to leaving here. I'm going to join the National Action Network. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and be able to do the things to support this community. And so my time is limited, but all I ask is that you just stand with us, reinvest in us. If you know people who are looking for schools and opportunities, tell them to come back to District 5. We're here, we're ready to support them, and we need your support. We need our kids in schools. If you see somebody walking around, you're 13, why aren't you in a school building? Challenge them. We want kids to understand one thing when they leave our school buildings. It's about love. And if I can get our staff to love our children, hopefully love themselves first, so they can teach their children how to love themselves, we'll cut out a lot of this crime in our community, because it's hard to kill somebody or to maim somebody when you love yourself first. And I understand we can teach them to love themselves first in our school systems. Scores will go up, and most importantly, crime will go down. Thank you very much.
Sean Davenport, Superintendent of School District 5 for the New York City Department of Education. Once again, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all You could ask or think according to the power that worketh in you. God's able to do just what he said he would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. He's able. Oh, yes, he is. So glad to know he's able. Oh, say God is able to do just what he said he would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God. 'Cause he won't give up. Everybody say he's able. Come on, if you know he's able, put those hands together. Hey, he's able. Yeah. Come on, help me say it right here. We say, oh, he's able. Say, oh, he's able. Oh, he's able. Say, oh, he's able. Oh, he's able. Say, oh, he's able. He's able. He's able. Yes, he is. He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly above we can ask. God is able. Yes, he is. God is able. He's able. Yes, he is. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. He's able.
That is Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by the Change Choir. Right now, brothers and sisters, it is our honor and privilege today to have with us for our Inspirational Word segment, Dr. Carmen J. Walters. She's the president of Tougaloo College in the great state of Mississippi. Let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. It's hard to follow that. Wonderful. Let's give them one more round of applause. I want to give obedience to God and to Reverend Sharpton, the founder and president of the National Action Network, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, the chairman of the board, and to our alum, Cassius Rudolph. Reverend Rudolph invited me to Philadelphia and to here today, so I'm so grateful to be here. I'm blessed to be traveling with my chief of staff, Dr. Linda Daniels, and to all of you assembled, all those who are in the chapters and leaders of these chapters, and to the pulpit guests, I'm excited to be here. Good morning to all of you. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and students of Tougaloo College, I bring you greetings. We are known at Tougaloo with our motto, where history meets the future. We are a historically black college sitting on what is known formally as the Bodie Plantation, where at least 70 slaves resided at any given time. So when our students walk the campus, we tell them, as Maya said, that they are the hopes and dreams of a slave. Our history goes back to the Amistad court case, right? The American Missionary Association helped raise the money to get the slaves back to Sierra Leone and came back to America and started 5 colleges. And Tougaloo was one of those colleges, and the mission, 153 years later, remains the same: to educate those who are marginalized. We are a place that is known as the Mecca of the Mississippi Civil Rights Movement. We were the safe haven for the Freedom Riders and the SNCC organization in the 60s. Tougaloo is Native American for 2 streams that converge: academic rigor and social justice. And that's why it was important for me today to say yes to this invitation. When we think about Tougaloo College, I want you to remember this: 44% of the black doctors in the state of Mississippi graduated from Tougaloo College. 34% of the lawyers and the educators graduated from Tougaloo College in Mississippi. And I want you to know that the first Supreme Court justice, a black man named Reuben V. Anderson, the first and only Supreme Court justice in the state of Mississippi, graduated from Tougaloo College. And if you are watching the January 6th hearings and you're keeping up with the hearings, Congressman Benny Thompson is leading that effort, and he is a graduate of Tougaloo College. If you're familiar with NAACP at all, you know the president of the NAACP, Mr. Derrick Johnson. He's an alum of Tougaloo College. And so when we talk about academic rigor and social justice, we're not just talking. We mean it, and we believe it, and we're doing it. So the work that I do is extremely important. The work that I do helps students understand their role in the world. They're not just getting a doctorate. So a few years ago, when I got this position, I went to Houston, Texas, to meet the alumni chapter there. And they gave me a gift. And the gift was a painting by Ezra Brown. And it is a painting of the Buffalo Soldiers. And the painting is entitled Called to Duty. And it struck me that this was a reminder of why I received this position. I was called to duty. I realized that I'm standing on the shoulders of so many greats that have come through Tougaloo College. So in 2019, I was called to duty. When I received the job, I ran quickly to my vehicle, drove all the way to New Orleans because I knew my dad only had a few more days to live. And when I ran into the room, I said, "Daddy, I got the job." More than 70 people applied for this position, and I got the job. I thought he was going to say, "Congratulations, great job, daughter." he whispered in my ear and he said, "You know, that is mission work." He reminded me that I was called to duty. Like so many of you sitting here today, you are the called. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 4:1, "I, therefore, the prisoner in the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called." You might be asking, what am I called to do? Whatever you are doing right now, the mission that you have taken up, whether that's with the National Action Network, your own church, your own organization, your own family, whatever work you are engaged in, it is for you to do and to do it well right now. We don't really have time to push back. You know, we are in 2022, but if you didn't have a calendar, if you didn't have a computer, if you didn't have a laptop, and you were just reading the news, you would think you were back in 1960. So now is the time for you to accept your calling and to walk worthy of your calling. You know, the word walk in the Greek is peripateo. It means to tread all around with dignity and pride. It means to walk large. It means to hold on and act like you know what you're doing, to have to understand the ability that God has put in you. So there's a lot in walking. You know, the scripture talks about you possess the land that you walk on. So some of you need to be walking your neighborhood every day, need to be walking your community, talking to kids, as he just said, understanding you have a call. You've been called to duty. And so I want to share with you that not only are you supposed to walk, but then you need to understand the word worthy in the Greek is axio, which means becoming after a godly sort. So you're not just walking to walk, but you're walking in God's will. And you know that when you walk in God's will, whatever he's put in your way to do, you're going to have success, right? And so every day I tell my students, we have great expectations for you. It doesn't matter if you come from the Delta in Mississippi. It doesn't matter if you come from the poorest suburbs in Chicago. We have great expectations for you. So walk worthy of that. And then finally, don't be easily moved off of your mark when you are called to duty. You got to stand firm on that. You got to stay focused, and you have to stay fixed when you understand your call. Don't be easily moved. So what is duty? Why are we using the word duty? A duty is a legal obligation. You know, when you are legally obligated to do something, I don't care how you want to quit, you cannot quit. So we are called to duty. We are called to a legal responsibility. We are called to respond to the work. Let me just end by saying, we've been called to hold on to our culture and to introduce our cultures to others to be embraced, not tolerated. We're not trying to be tolerated. We're trying to be embraced. We've been called to lead others with purpose. We've been called to shift people from me to we so that we can accomplish what this young lady just got up here talking about. We've been called to be comfortable in making others uncomfortable. We've been called to anticipate challenges and respond. We've been called to communicate clearly and continuously. We've been called to listen to the things we don't want to hear and then respond with how we want to respond. We've been called to be lifelong learners. This is why you come in here. You come in here so that you can learn what you need to learn in order to go out and produce the result. We've been called to move from good to great and then to even greater. We've been called, as we work in this community called America, We've been called to have the heart of a father as we work, the soul of a mother, the touch of God, and the scholarship of a master teacher. You can't do this work without having those components. We've been called to have great integrity. We've been called to take our work seriously and not miss the mark in this day and age. We've been called to seek innovation, new ways to attack problems, and not to sit here with the same old solutions. We've been called to foster partnerships and to take the oath that says, as we do this work, we first do no harm. We've all been called to teach and to lead others. And that's what we strive to do at Tougaloo College every day. And I will leave you with what I say to my students. The road from Tougaloo College can take you anywhere you want to go. And I will say the road from the National Action Network can take you anywhere you want to go. Thank you.
That's all right.
Dr. Carmen J. Walters, president of Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi, we thank you for that inspirational word. Right now, the Change Choir under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson. Choir. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet right now. At home, I want you to put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it? Fist bump the person you're next to and tell them you love them.
Never give up and never give in. A change will come. Keep faith down within. Troubles and trials won't last away. With God on our side, nothing but pride and pain. Hold on, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be too long. Yeah, change will come. Change will come. Change will come. Starting with you. Your change will come. Your change will come. Starting with you. Your change will come. Your change will come. Never give up and never give in. A change will come. Keep faith down within. Troubles and trials won't last away. With God on our side, nothing but pride. Hold on, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be too long. Yeah, change will come. Change will come. Change will come. Oh, your change will come. Your change is gonna come. I know it will. Your change will come. Your change is gonna come. Your change will come. Oh, your change is gonna come. Oh, change will come.
Frederick Douglass said many years ago that without struggle there'll be no progress. And many of us want progress with no struggle. Many of us sit on the pinnacle of success by others that struggle and never deal with the fact or even give credit to those that struggle for you. So here we are again now, where we are at the center of a race that will determine in the midterms whether this country goes forward or backwards. And maybe we had to come to this point to remind some of you that sit high and look low that struggle is required. But I can promise you, if we struggle, if we fight even when it seems like victory's not certain, if we go against the odds, your change will come.
Your change will come. Your change is gonna come. Do you believe it? Your change will come. Your change is gonna come. Oh, change will come. Oh, change will come.
Later this evening, after doing my television show, I'm headed to Atlanta, Georgia to preach in the morning. Somebody said to me, I was in Atlanta during the week, said it's a shame what we're facing here at the polls. It's a shame what we're dealing with in terms of the election. I said, well, if you look at it in real time, it might be a shame. But if you look at it from a historic perspective, right over a few miles from where we were talking is the burial site of Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. I knew Coretta Scott King very well, worked with Martin, his son, very well, very closely. Too young to know Dr. King, only saw him twice. I said, but What I would imagine is that in the days of Dr. King, they struggled against Lester Maddox, a segregationist governor, struggled against others. I said, at one level, we in a real pickle, but at another level, when Dr. King was alive, we couldn't have imagined a black senator, pastor of his church. We couldn't imagine a black woman on the precipice of being the governor of the state of Georgia. We come a long way in a little bit of time. If y'all do your job like he did his job, your change will come.
Your change will come. Your change. Your change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Your change. Your change will come. Your change. Your change is gonna come. Oh, change will. Change will come. Oh, change will come. Change will. Change will come. Be with you. Your change will come. Your change will come. Oh, your change. Your change will come. Your change. Your change is gonna come. Do you believe it? Your change. Your change will come. Your change. Your change is gonna come. Your change will come. Your change. Your change is gonna come. Oh, change will. Change will come. Oh, change will come. Change will. Your change will come. Your change will come.
National Action Network Change Choir, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here in the House of Justice in Harlem, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York or watching us around the country in various platforms, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. Certainly our musical director, give a hand, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Give my drummer and my guitar player some. Certainly a lot to cover in this morning's rally, and we're glad to have all of you with us. First of all, let me emphasize what was said by Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. Jennifer Jones Austin is not only the head of the Federation for Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York, she is the vice chairman of the National Board of National Action Network. And the board had voted her in as vice chair, and she has served diligently there. And for you that don't know, and I don't know who that could be, she is the daughter of my mentor and pastor who brought me literally into the movement, Reverend Dr. William Augustus Jones. And what I love about Jenny is that she's not only his daughter, but she keeps his legacy alive. She has fought to get his books back out. She's toured this country to make sure it's interpreted right. And many people that have quoted Jones out of context, now she's given a context and a body to his work. And not only was he one of the top black preacher, clergy, theology thinkers of his day, he is getting his due because of his daughter, Jennifer Jones Austin. And she's challenged us to go to the polls. Now, early voting starts in New York on the 29th. So if you think you're going to get busy, or if you think it's going to rain that day, start voting early. We fought to get early voting.
Yeah.
So you have no excuse not to vote. And she said to make sure when you vote, flip it over. Flip the ballot over and deal with the ballot questions that are for voting in terms of racial equity. And if it enacted, it would boost the spending on environmental projects. It defines how the city will deal with the cost of living and deal with racial equity. It is important that we get this through. You cannot arrive where you're not headed. You cannot chart where you're headed unless there is a study to deal with equity to make it fair. There is no equity plan in this city. So we are really just saying we hope that we will get equal one day. Let's welcome Impact Television watching us all over the country. I forgot. We're hoping we get equity. You can't hope equity. You've got to fight for equity, and this ballot initiative will get you there. Now, every time you try and do something, one of the ways to measure progress is to measure whether or not you're going to get the fringe on the right and the left crazy. Fringe on the right don't want to see this equity passed because they don't want to see equity. Am I right? Then they go and provoke, and in some cases hire, fringe on the left saying, well, why we got to include more than blacks? Which means that you only showing people how politically you do not understand how to get something done. You, first of all, want equity for everybody. Reason we say more than blacks is we don't want to do to folk what was done to us. I don't apologize for that. I ain't just fighting for my fault. I'm fighting for everybody to be equal because I got enough sense to know that if everybody's not equal, I'm at risk not to be equal. We're not trying to replace white supremacy with black stupidity. Second of all, you need everybody to vote for you. How you going to tell, well, we need to have this, we need to have that? Well, who going to do it if you exclude them from everything? So let us be real clear. This is equity across the board. Blacks will definitely benefit because we're the ones disproportionately unequal. But we are not disproportionately ignorant. Negroes be calling up radio shows talking about why everybody on there, I want something black. You're going to get something black if you learn how to work and get something done. I remember when Barack Obama was president, people come telling me, give a hand, Florence, give a hand to Floyd, George Floyd's brother, Terrence Floyd, is in the house. George Floyd's birthday was this week. And of course, I got my man always standing there making sure that I'm here, stand up from the Central Park 5, my younger brother. Corey Weiss, you know, he stands at the side door to make sure the security gets me in right. See, they think they securing me. He's securing me against them. One of them go off, they'll take care of the business. But let me get back to my point on this the Obama thing. When Obama was in, somebody came to me and said, Reverend Al, why ain't Obama out there dealing with this, that, and the other, and leading the fight? I said, first of all, he's a president. He has the agenda that we are on the agenda, but he needs us to bring the fight to him. He can't march on himself. Some of us are so used to one-dimensional ways of fighting that we limit ourselves when we achieve other ways of achieving the fight. The mayor, I met this week with Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago. If Karen Bass wins in Los Angeles, the mayor of the top 3 cities in this country will be black. I want y'all to get that. The mayor of the top 3 cities will be black if Karen Bass wins. Mayor of Chicago is black, mayor of New York is black, mayor of LA will be black. Now, if we got the mayor of the top 3 cities black, Jenny, we cannot handicap them by not dealing with issues like crime and business, because they're the mayor. If you want them to just be the black leader, then elect them the head of National Action Network or the NAACP. Don't make them the mayor. One of the reasons I want them to succeed is I want the world to understand we are capable of being the president and the mayor and the governor for everybody. We can govern our own and y'all. Don't limit us to one part of town. We can run the whole town. But when you got people posing as blacker than black that are really ones that have inferiority complexes, they believe that we can only handle outside of town. That's your insecurity. I can do black radio and MSNBC and do it the same day. Now, if you limited, that's your problem. Hello. So I want us all to vote on this equity. Because we deal with equity. That is the real drive and goal that we need to deal with. A lot of us talk about equality, don't talk about equity. And you can't get equity without measuring, and you can't measure without having this through. So this is one of the most important and significant initiatives that we could have. So flip the ballot. Don't go there now to vote and say, I don't see the equity thing on the ballot, Reverend Sharpton. I'm telling you now to flip it. Like y'all play lotto, flip it. I figure Jenny didn't say that. I said that. I'm trying to bring it home to some of y'all. I don't know much about lotto, but I grew up, they was playing numbers. I got employees that play lotto. If they hit, just come to Saturday morning, bring me the offering. I'm not going to tell you whether or not to play, but I'm going to tell you if you hit to pay if you play. So give a hand again, and let's say we're going to vote on this equity ballot. Jennifer Jones Austin. I'm also glad to have with us one of our real strong brothers, comes out the movement, young pastor extraordinaire. I've known him, and he's been a profile of what a minister in the next generations ought to be. Give a hand, Reverend Cassius Rudolph. Stand up, Cassius. Give him a big hand. And now, Cassius, I've known, he's been one of the people that have worked with me and Reverend Jackson and all. And I thought, Reverend, that Stephen Marshall, I thought Cassius was on my side. He said he wanted the president of Tuvalu to be able to say something on all our broadcasts and spend some time with us. But he didn't tell me she was coming up here to be a candidate for the president of National Action Network. So I was in the back calling Derek Johnson and say, get her back down to Tougaloo. Because she had nerve to take a text, went into Ephesians 6. She can preach a little bit. Gave you the history and then closed on us. Give her a big hand. President of Tougaloo, Dr. Carmen Walters. Give her a big hand. Give Dr. Walters a big hand. And the reason I enjoyed her so is she gave the history and brought us right to where we are. We need to know our history so we will know what is expected of us. If you understand where you come from, then you will understand what is required of you. We act as though the whole world started with us. Everybody in here is only in here for a season or two. Let me tell you something, if nobody told you lately, you are not going to live forever. Hello. So it is a matter of what you do and what you are about and what you are part of that determines your worth in life. Your material positions don't mean nothing. I say all the time, Cash heard me say it, I am tired of preaching funerals for unproductive Negroes. I don't even do them no more. Scheduling asks me, so-and-so died. Good, give them some flowers. Because I am not going to get up lying for you when you die. Oh, didn't the community lose? No, we didn't lose nothing if you ain't done nothing. Won't we miss them? No, we was missing you while you was here. You was always missing. When she ran down how Tougaloo started and who it produced, the legacy of Tougaloo is from its founding all the way now to Congressman Thompson. That is the legacy. Other institutions, educational institutions, colleges in this country may have bigger endowments, but they don't have deeper history. And our wealth is in our history, which is why we ought to be endowing in it more. And as we fight these economic fights and make it where now you have black billionaires and you have black influencers, they call it, and stars, they ought to be endowing the Tougaloos, because if it wasn't for the Tougaloos, you wouldn't be out there. So I really loved how she brought that history in. I was at Morehouse College, and they inducted me into their hall with an oil painting we put up on social media. And one of the things that it was an honor to me because it's Dr. Martin Luther King Chapel. They just rededicated it and spent a few $1 million redoing it. And Andrew Young was there one day. I did the rededication sermon the next night. And one of the things that really I was dealing with there on the campus, Dr. Walters, is Dr. Benjamin Mays buried outside. And Martin Luther King went there, all the way to now Senator Raphael Warnock that's running. He went there, and Reverend Michael Walron and Lamel McMorris and on our board, and many of our people, Delman Coates, many of our top preachers. And I thought about how can we allow this cultural decadence that they have made to appear like it is some form of blackness. How can we let them take away the appreciation of who we are from our young folk? Yes, sir. So one of the things I said during the sermon or the speech that night is that we cannot allow our children to feel it's all right to be mediocre. We cannot have an attitude of I'll go to school and all right, I'm passing. You need to be more than passing. You need to be striving to be exceptionally better than anybody else. But when you have a culture that dumbs you down, that's why I get on this certain language and lyrics, calling ourselves the N-word and calling our women hoes and bees, because it subconsciously adjusts you to being less than what you can be. You can't walk by Benjamin Mays' grave calling yourself a nigger. But that's where they got you. And then tell you to don't talk to your elders. Well, that's old school. Well, then what is the new school? There is something regressive about going from James Brown to Kanye. To go from say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, to wearing t-shirts saying white lives matter. There's something regressive about that. And if we don't confront it, it will be normalized in the psychology of our young folks. They love to call out folk, but they can't handle being called out. Reason why some of the rappers and me get in it is because I can bark just like they bark. I come out the same hood you do. Only difference is we here every Saturday morning. We ain't seen y'all in a long time. Y'all run around Hollywood with everybody and then gonna come back and speak for us and you haven't spoke to us. Right. A studio activist. Get in the studio and talk smack. Talking about I'm talking for the people. You ain't talked to the people in years. You've been hanging out with your Hollywood white donors and underwriters. And we need to deal with that. I don't care what you want to support this or support that. I got that. People ask me, I went to speak Sunday before last at Howard University and Ashley and folk travel with me, come out the hotel. TMZ is standing in front of the hotel asking, I don't even know how they knew where I was staying. And said, Reverend Al, we want to talk to you. Want to ask you about something with Kanye West. And I thought about it. I said, wait, I got 99 problems. Kanye ain't one of them. I'm not going to get in this back and forward to reduce what we got to do to argue with somebody who admittedly got challenges. But I am going to stand up for a lot of y'all that get out here fronting and are maneuvered and manipulated by people to be against the interests of your own community. I remember when I came out, Dr. Rudolph, with saying we need to take and stop this N-word and hoe and be, and some of the executives in the rap world got mad. We got an Oprah show. This is when Oprah was still on the daytime. Had a debate about it. And then they gonna call a meeting and have a meeting with me to challenge me. And they had a meeting at one of the white executives' house on Fifth Avenue. For you who watch around the country, Fifth Avenue is where the rich folk live and stuff. And I go to the meeting, there's about 10 of them there, hip-hop giants, and the white executive, and Reverend Al this, and Reverend Al that, and you don't know it, and you don't understand, da, da, da. And I said, let me explain something to y'all. First of all, y'all ain't in the neighborhood no more. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Second of all, it's a matter of our self-esteem and self-respect. One of them jumped up and jumped right, I used to, when I was a kid, hang around Muhammad Ali, and he used to fight with the rope-a-dope, and they didn't know I was laying on the ropes waiting for whatever dope was going to jump up. And the dope jumped right up, said, "You understand, Reverend Al, we got free speech. We got the right to say what we want." I said, "You got free speech?" He said, "Yeah, we got free speech." I said, "No problem. Go in the studio tomorrow and cut a record against Italians, calling them names, or Jews calling them names, or Irish calling them names, and see how much free speech you got." I was there when they made Michael Jackson go back in the studio and change a lyric because it offended some people. And they were right. I was there. I preached Michael's funeral. They permit you to down your own, but you better not ridicule and denounce one of them. You're free to be a self-hating rapper. That's what you're free to be. And the positive rappers and the rappers with a message, they will not promote like they will you. But if you get up and talk about your mama and grandmama and call them hoes and bees and call us niggas, they will make you the new sensation. And that's why it's important that we have people like Dr. Walters remind us of our history. That's also why it's important. I'm so glad that Brother Sean Davenport is here this morning, dealing with this local stuff. District 5 here in Harlem. Because let me tell you something. Dr. Jamal Watson, who's been doing the last several years working on a book on me, they got this documentary coming out on me, and I'm going to talk more about it next week. It is going to hit the theaters on December 9th, but we're going to have a couple of showings for all the members. Some went when it was at Tribeca, but many of you missed it. And part of the story, Dr. Davenport, that I like to tell people is that when my father left, and we had this nice house in Hollis, Queens, and Cadillac in the garage and all that, we lost all of that. Daddy abandoned us. He cut the lights out. And my mother, who never got past 7th grade in Alabama, come to New York, had me and my sister. My mother never let us get away with our studies. When they cut the utilities off, because Mama couldn't pay the utilities bill, my mother taught us how to do homework by candlelight. When we then moved back into Brooklyn, had to stay for a few months in the Albany Project with the Martin family, and then got our own place in a tenement. She never missed a parent's night at the school. She never missed open school week. You are never so poor that you can't stand by your children's education. You don't get that poor. And my mother was on welfare, food stamps, and did domestic work. I ride by buildings now that my mother cleaned and did domestic work. I done talked about so much of my daughters, I say, you know, and they say, yeah, we know, Grandma used to do domestic work there. That's how many times I done showed them. She'd get on her knees and clean floors. But she'd tell the folks she was working that she had to go when it was open school week. She couldn't be there that night because she had to be there to meet with her son's teachers. And that is what you can't ask Davenport to do what you ought to be doing for your own child. Education in our communities must be a communal thing that involves everybody involved. Because we cannot have a generation that does not feel that being educated is something that belongs to everybody else. I remember when Dominique went to Temple University, and she told me, she said, you know, all of the kids hang out in the our section of town, I'll put it that way, in Philly, say acting, going to college, going to Temple, and all that is acting white. And if you speak eloquently, you talk in white. And if you can conjugate your verbs and adjectives, that's acting white. So what is acting black? Being ignorant and not being able to talk? You can talk your home talk and talk intelligent. Other ethnic groups talk at home differently, but they know how to come out and talk at the level that gets done what they want done. Don't let them make blackness synonymous with inferiority. Every generation of blacks, including those that were legally forced into being illiterate, were glorified being less than intelligent. We found a way to outthink even the slave master. One of the first things we did when they ended slavery was build our own educational institutions. You heard her talk about Tougaloo. We built churches and colleges. We didn't build a club to go to do the boogie woogie. We built churches and colleges because an enlightened people can never be enslaved. Why do you think the first thing they did after changing our names was make sure we couldn't read and write? And not only was it against the law for us to read and write, I mean against the law. This wasn't a custom. This was the law, Terrence Floyd. Not only was it against the law for us to not read and write, they would prosecute and harm whites if they caught them teaching us how to read and write. If you read the stories of Frederick Douglass, and one of his master's children taught him how to read, they had to do it at night in the dark because they would have been hurt and possibly killed if they knew they was teaching young Fred how to read. So we had to fight against being forced into illiteracy, change the laws on illiteracy, and now we get in the 21st century in Harlem and got our kids thinking it's white to learn how to read? Or that it's acceptable that he doesn't have the resources that other districts have? We ought to be up in arms and back him up. Why do I say that? I go to speak at some schools, 800 students, 1,000 students, 5 parents show up to PTA meeting. You ain't that busy. You home watching Raising Cain rather than going to PTA meeting. Watching the Kardashians talking about how big they behind is. You got a behind in the bedroom you need to go to the PTA meeting about. Security guards laughing. Y'all must be watching that stuff. I didn't see nobody sitting around talking about what he talking about. Everybody know exactly what I'm talking about. What do you mean y'all doing it? Hardy got on a mask. I can't see if he's laughing or not. We must take seriously where we are. Which brings me right into why, and I'm going to you that are watching in Atlanta. I'm preaching tomorrow morning at the Elizabeth Baptist Church. I'm preaching 7:30 service, 9:30 service, and 11:30 service. And then meeting with some of the community members, we're trying to get the turnout in Georgia on the midterm. Let me tell you something. We have in Georgia a black woman running for governor, Stacey Abrams. We have Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock running for re-election to the Senate. In Florida, we have Congresswoman Val Demings running against Rubio. In North Carolina, we have former Supreme Court Judge, State Supreme Court Judge Beasley. Y'all seen her on my television show, running for the Senate. We got in Maryland running for governor, Brother Wes Moore. We have more ability to put blacks that are qualified in position if we get up and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you what the opportunities lie if we get up and vote. And let me tell you something. People not only died to get you the right to vote, we had to work since then to keep the voting protection on. And they are chipping away at it every chance they get. Shelby versus Holder, 2013, they went and took out pre-clearance. Now they're coming back trying to take out Section 2, which would deal with gerrymandering. They are stripping away your right to vote. People would not be taking something from you if it was not of value for you. And got you running around talking about, I don't see what voting do. If it wasn't doing nothing, then why are you sitting around waiting on your Social Security check? Why are you sitting around getting unemployment? Why are you dealing with minimum wage? Voting got all of that. Civil rights ain't done nothing. Then you go have your seat in the back of the bus. You take advantage of what people fought for and then act like it was nothing. You enjoy a life that your grandparents never thought they'd see. And got the nerve to be ungrateful. Yes, we got a lot more we need to get. Yes, we're not finished yet. But at least give credit to those that brought us this far. If you're not going to be involved, at least don't be ungrateful. And the ingratitude is unpardonable. So what? You may not march like us. You may not agitate like us. You may not be on it every day. But you can take one day and go to the polls and vote for something that will keep you and your children in a better position. Talking about lotto, it's a shame when you can see longer lotto lines than you can see election lines. Well, I heard they ain't gonna let them bring me no water. Ain't nobody brought you no water on the lotto line. Ain't nobody brought you a sandwich on while you were waiting to put your number in. I got folk working some of our offices around the country, doctor, that they need a day off for election day. But they can find a way in between coffee breaks to put their lotto number in. I'm going to the restroom and find a way to crawl out the restroom window. That is why I like, and I really mean this, I like what Dr. Walters said about, quoting it from Ephesians, worthy. We must show this generation that we are worthy of the blessings God has given us. We went in 50 years from Martin Luther King killed on a balcony in Memphis to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama on the balcony in the White House. In a half a century. We went all the way from them killing the dreamer to making the dream happen anyhow. And we got to show we're worthy of that. That's what tripped up the Israelites when they got out of bondage. They got in the wilderness and forgot the struggle that got them out. And they started worshiping graven images and worshiping materialism and wanting trinkets rather than freedom. And what was a few-month journey to the promised land took them 40 years. Why? Because they got lost in the wilderness. And what has happened, Davenport, is we have a generation of lost Negroes. Talking about we don't need to fight crime. We need to just reform the police. We need both. Nobody fought more police reform fights than we have. But that don't mean I'm not going to say something about you getting on subway tracks, pushing people in front of trains. All black lives matter to me. I got black women scared to walk the street. And you're going to tell me don't talk about it. We must have enough self-esteem to show we're worthy to do both, that we can handle crime and bad cops at the same time. I did the eulogy at George Floyd's funeral, and 2 weeks later did the eulogy at a 1-year-old boy killed in the hood in a crossfire between gangs. We can talk about both of them. Are you worthy? And everybody sitting at the table ain't your family and ain't on your side. Let me tell you something. When you see the Last Supper pictures and you see Jesus sitting in the middle and they got the disciples and everybody talk about that's the Last Supper and all of that, don't forget that Judas was sitting at that table. When you're looking at them pictures now, and you go to church tomorrow, and they got them pictures of the Last Supper, Judas was one of them at the table. Judas ate with everybody else. And Jesus, let me tell you something. Y'all talk about you want to be like Jesus. Well, if you're going to be like Jesus, then quit acting like Judas. Judas sold Jesus out for some pieces of gold. And he got so trapped in his guilt, he didn't even enjoy the gold he sold out for. And let me tell you, if you really want to be like Jesus, you understand these trifling betrayers. If you read that scripture, Reverend Marshall, at the end of the supper, Jesus took his, they say he took his loins off. He took his, girded his loins, he took it off. And got down and took some water and started washing the feet of his disciples. And they talk about how Peter said that I'm not worthy for you to wash my feet. And Jesus said it's the servant. He showed them his last thing he showed them was the servant. Problem we got now in the movement, Cassius, is everybody want to be celebrities and don't want to be servants. They want to be all over social media as celebrities rather than servants. They want to be on Instagram and be instant celebrities, posing to be chosen rather than standing for something. If you want to be big, be a big service. And to serve means you got to do things that may not be comfortable. Because the Bible tells me when Jesus got down and washed their feet, he even washed Judas's feet. A lot of preachers miss that. How can you know Judas going to betray you and wash his feet anyhow? You can't be like Jesus till you can look those that backbite, those that talk about you, those that scandalize you, those that lie on you, those that don't appreciate what you've done, and you can look at them and serve them anyhow. I know what you said. I heard the lies you told. But I'm going to serve you anyhow. Why? Because I'm not about what you about. I'm about serving like God told me to serve. But Reverend Al, how could Jesus watch the feet of a guy that was portraying him? Well, the reason you could do that is, first of all, what is the guy doing? The guy going to sell me out. They're going to put me on trial. They ain't even going to give me due process because I'm not even going to have an attorney there to plead my case. The crowd is going to turn on me. The same crowd I fed with 2 fishes and a few loaves of bread. Same crowd that yelled Hosanna when I was coming in Jerusalem. Same crowd that was there when I made Bartimaeus' eyes open. Same crowd that watched me go by the man that was laying by the side of the pool of Bethesda and I gave him strength. Same crowd. They gonna turn on me. But I can take the crowd turning and I can take not having a lawyer. Because the one thing they can't do, they can sentence me to death, hang me on a cross, kill me on Friday. They are in charge of the crucifixion, but I'm in charge of the resurrection. If you know that no matter what they do, they can bring you down, but they can't keep you down. If you serve, God will rise you up in the presence of your enemies and make your enemies your footstool. A couple of months ago, they nominated a black woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, to put her on the Supreme Court. President Joe Biden invited some of us to be there. And we were in the middle of National Action Network's convention. And I said, no, I can't miss this day of history. Reverend Jackson was here at the convention. And he said, Al, you can't leave your convention. I said, no, I got to go. He said, well, we'll go down there. And I will never forget, some of y'all saw this on my social media. We took the train down, his aides and mine and all of us, and we got out at Union Station in Washington. And they had a wheelchair there for Reverend Jackson because with Parkinson, some days he can't walk well. And I never forget when we got to the White House to go sit out in the Rose Garden to watch this nomination, that I got behind the wheelchair and helped wheel in Reverend Jackson. And I thought about if it wasn't for the Jesse Jacksons, and if it wasn't for the John Lewises, and if it wasn't for the Julian Bonds, and if it wasn't for the Fannie Lou Hamers, and if it wasn't for the Harriet Tubmans, if it wasn't for those that laid down in the streets of Montgomery and laid down in the streets of Birmingham, we wouldn't be walking in this White House. But he promised me, if you're faithful over a few things, I'll make you ruler over many things. I come to help wheel in one of those that made it possible for a black woman to stand on that stage and join the Supreme Court. What you meant for bad, God meant for good. I can wash your feet because I know that God will rise me up anyhow. That's why don't you get discouraged. Don't you turn around. God will give us the victory. God will give us the victory. Donald Trump can talk all he wants. He heard us, but now get ready for the resurrection. God will, God shall, God has, God must make a way out of no way. He walks with me. He talks with me. He makes a way for me. God is still on the throne. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Other night in Chicago, they watched this documentary on me. And it covered when I was stabbed leading a march in Bensonhurst, and covered me being locked up, the days of outrage. Covered all the way to what we dealt with George Floyd. And one of the ladies said to me as I was leaving, she said, I didn't know you went through all of that. They had footage of me when I was a teenager, youth director of Breadbasket under Reverend Jones, Reverend Jackson. She said, I didn't know you went through all of that. I said, well, I never knew it would be part of a documentary and that whites would put it out. I said, but let's be clear, the one thing through it all is my mama taught me how to pray. She couldn't teach me algebra because they wouldn't let her go to school in Alabama. She couldn't teach me geometry. She couldn't teach me Newton's law. But she taught me how to pray. And I learned that prayer changes things. And I prayed through those jail nights. I prayed through those hospital beds. And I don't care whether the documentary makes awards or not. I know in my heart I never would have made it. I wasn't that smart. I wasn't that slick. I didn't come with that pedigree. I didn't come with that background. I never would have made it without him. I would have lost it all. But now I see. That's why I don't care about the big shots when I meet him. Now I see. You were there for me. I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I'm better. So much better. I never would have made it.
Never would have made it. Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. Now I see you were there for me, and I'm stronger. I'm wiser, I'm better, so much better. When I look back over the road you brought me through, I can see that you were the one I held on to. And I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, so much better. I made it through the storm and the test because you were right there to carry me through my mess. Never would have made it. No, 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 no. Never could have made it, no, without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see you were there for me.
Wait a minute. You ain't the only preacher can sing this. Come on, kid.
Never would have made it. Oh, I never would have made it. I would have lost it all. But now I see that you were there for me. Just think about your story. I'm stronger. I'm wiser. Lord, I'm better. So much better. Just think about it. When I look back after all the Lord has brought me through, I was down would have made it, yeah. I never would have made it without you, oh God. Sometimes I sit back and think about what God has done for me. You got to get in your own prayer closet and say, Lord, I thank you. Lord, I love you. Where would I be without your hand on my life? I know I don't deserve all of your blessings, but God, you keep on blessing me over and over. Listen, say I made it. I made it. I made it. I made it. Yes. Yes. Oh. Hey. Never could have made it. No, 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 no. Never could have made it. Oh, without you, I would have lost it all. Now I see you were there for me. So glad I can see you've been there for me. Now I see you were there for me, and I made it.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody sing. Everybody's singing. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. I'm open the doors of the movement. There may be someone in the auditorium today. You hear us on the radio, you see us on television, but you never became a member of the National Action Network. Never put your name on the rolls. If you're here today, I want you to come down to me and let us sign you up and put you on the roll as a member of the National Action Network. All you have to do is come to me, and we'll take care of signing you up. Come on, everybody's singing. Everybody sing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Come on, come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody sing. Come on. Everybody's singing. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. Hey. One last time, y'all. Everybody's singing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. All right. Let us, we grateful, brother, the brother, I'll talk more about it when we bring him in, but this brother, Diedrich Mohammed, joined this morning, brought his whole family. And Diedrich was on staff here for many years, traveled all over the country, all over the world. When I went into Havana, Cuba, and met with Fidel Castro, Diedrich was on that trip. Diedrich was there when I met with Fidel Castro. And a lot of y'all be talking stuff. I done been with the folk. Don't take me for granted. I know Mother Kennedy, but I've been with Castro and Mandela. And still say amen go right there. I ain't changed nothing. All right. Let's raise our offering and we'll take in our new members. I promise to let you go by 11. It's almost 11. Let me say Dr. Walters told me, and I'm sure going to say it tomorrow in Atlanta, that the parents of Stacey Abrams went to Tougaloo. You all right? All right. The parents of Stacey Abrams went to Tougaloo. And that's a result showing from generation to generation. A guy the other night, one of the things I always try to tell our young people, and I'm so proud of our huddle group does it. And I saw some of them down in Morehouse the other night when I was there, some of our huddle, is that movements and progress is made with continuity, not with competition. A guy the other night, Cassius, did I'm going to show it to you, a drawing of Reverend Jackson and I. And it shows, Dr. King was 12 years older than Jesse. Jesse was 13 years older than me. I'm more than that older than you, but we need to just pass this down. Rather than see each other, folk be talking about, well, so-and-so in my way. Ain't nobody in your way. If somebody in your way, that means you haven't found your way. If you find your way, can't nobody block your way. So every time you hear somebody say somebody was in their way, you know they was lost. That a hashtag, actually. When I started National Action Network, there was no National Action Network. There was nothing like that. When we came up to Harlem, we had $200. And 180 of that was Attorney Hardy's. I had about 20 and a token. But we built this. Wasn't nobody in my way but me. Wasn't nobody in his way but him. And here we are 31 years later. But we still here and we're going to keep being here. Because we built all over this country, got offices everywhere. And I travel and I'm doing Chicago, LA, and all this week. Attorney Hardy stays home, keep everything solid. Because, we got to respect our elders. I don't need him run up and down the road. Y'all help him walk off the stage. It's your fault trying to have this old man walk off this stage. You got to have a staff meet about that. You get a certain age, you can't see the step. Let's raise our offering. Y'all know I wasn't going to let Hardy get away with that one. Oh, he going to be glad I'm going to Atlanta because he know I'll be on him all week on that one. Do y'all got that on tape, JT? I'm going to put that on my Instagram, JT. You got it? All right, let's raise our offering. Now, I can't put her Instagram. The vice chairman of the board is here. She will call me in front of the board. Some things